All right, I should be streaming. Hello, hello. This is interesting information, I guess, or just something I've kind of realized, and I think a lot of people have kind of realized the same thing. But it's such a huge thing. Just this Apollo mission. First of all, let me open my. Sorry, I'm just trying to get so I can see the chat. Hey, Joey, Rocha, and Davey, and Roderick. Good to see you guys. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I don't even know what screen you're seeing. You're seeing a black screen, aren't you? Well, that's a nice way to start now, isn't it? Sorry. I do have a few things to look at. Let me just... Okay. Let me read you something that I just kind of typed up quick. And I put a little bit of it in the description. But this is me talking to you. Do you believe that God can reveal things that were never heard or known from the foundation of the world, and that he could do it in 2020 by the power of the Holy Spirit? Do you believe that? It's just a question. Okay, so I think it's important to just realize that anytime we're talking about these things and that are related to the Bible, I think we have to always keep in mind what the Bible clearly says about the place we live. It's actually, we're the people who dwell on the earth. We're the inhabitants of the earth. We are the people that live on the earth. And they're in the Bible, all throughout time. There's been people living on the earth. In the Bible, those who dwell on the earth, they live on the dry ground. And the dry ground is separated by the waters that stayed under the firmament. And there's also waters above the firmament, or maybe in the firmament, but I think above the firmament. But we have ocean waters here on the ground, and all the dry ground is surrounded by oceans. And all of those waves on the ocean, they have a place to stop. Just like any water in the world. Any water you've ever witnessed or seen or thought about even. It has to have something that contains it. Otherwise, it just runs to somewhere else. It just drains to the lowest part. Lowest place or whatever. Like a river or we've all played in the mud. But the waves have to stop somewhere. And that place is kind of a mystery, somewhat. And so that's a very interesting thing to talk about, because I'm not trying to get on the whole which map is right or something like that. But what I'm saying is, if we just think about how the Bible describes these things, there is a clock in the sky, and it's the same consistently forever. Like, it's a clock. And it's, you can watch it turning, and it turns like any kind of watch that you've ever looked at, or, a watch with you know what I mean, a watch, or a clock. That's what it is. But it's much more. The stars, obviously, but they kind of, the sun, moon, and stars, they tell all of our time and everything. Now, water, the oceans and everything, lakes, the glass of water on your kitchen table right now or whatever, water's flat and level at its surface. And this is important. That's all I need to say, that it's important. And if you don't want to hear it, that's okay. But there's interesting things. I'm not telling you to believe the world is a certain way. I'm telling you, we're going to go over a ton of scriptures that have some specific themes It's kind of like, this is where I wrote down here. Earth is where we are. The sky is where things fly, like things that have wings. Space, what we call space in this world, which is actually darkness, where things are perpetually free-falling. Everything in space is free-falling in perpetually into darkness. But anyway, that's another subject, because what is space? What is that place? What is it? It's in the Bible. It's in the second verse of the Bible. And I've got, what screen do I got for you guys? I'm so sorry. I just have that black screen. This is boring. Let me show you something. Speaking of Apollo, okay, we'll get on track here. I'm sorry. I just have so much to say, and I'm trying to get it in order so you guys can understand what I'm trying to share. Check this out.
And to continue the dream of Apollo.
We stand on the shoulders of giants that came before us.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
The goal of SpaceX is to try to advance rocket technology, and in particular to try to crack a problem that we could resume the dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX really was to make as much progress as possible to advance rocket technology to the point where hopefully we can establish a colony on Mars. Dream of Apollo.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, you see it right on your screen right now, I hope you do. You see that whoever they is that they're talking about had a king over them, and he was the angel of the bottomless pit. Okay? First of all, NASA will tell you that the Earth is a sphere, and that things orbit around the Earth, around that sphere, and that those things just don't fall down because they're going sideways fast enough. Okay? That's a basic idea. So they're free-falling around that curvature that they're imagining. They're being deceived. Just think about this. They think they're free-falling, zero gravity. They think they're free-falling continuously. The ISS is continually free-falling for 20 years. Some of the angels talk about how long it takes to get to the bottom of the bottomless pit, and it can take something like 50 years or more. I don't really know exactly what that means, but so I want to tell you guys that this is not my idea. Let me actually go back to that note that I was reading, because I did write something that I felt was important. Okay. So space is darkness. And in Genesis 1 verse 2, it says, "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep." And that word deep it's abyss. So I didn't write that. That was Moses, I think. Okay. Then there's the sides of the north that are mentioned a few times. And Mount Zion and the Lord are there. Okay? But right now, the world believes that a different place is there, and it's a big controversial place. But I can just show you simply that the place that is called Babylon the Great, or Mystery Babylon, in Revelation 18 verse 2, it says that it's a habitation for devils, and a hold for evil spirits, and a cage for unclean and hateful birds. It's a prison for evil spirits and devils. Okay? Those are not flesh and blood. They are spirits that are in a place that's talked about a lot. Let me explain this place a little bit, okay? It's so many things, this place above our heads in the sky where the stars are. Okay, darkness is God's secret place. And it's under his feet. That's in Psalm 18. It is Sheol. Let me show you that. Let me show you just one or two places that are really cool. I like this book a lot. I'm going to give you the desktop here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're on YouTube. We're just going to watch. I got them all queued up. So hopefully you can hear. I might replay it, but hopefully I don't have to. Let's listen to what Isaiah is saying here.
And his Father also, who is greater, thou wilt see. For this purpose have I been sent from the seventh heaven, in order to explain all these things unto thee. And we ascended to the firmament, I and he, and there I saw Samael and his hosts, and there was great fighting therein, and the angels of Satan were envying one another.
Okay, did you guys understand what that said? I'm pointing something out that's simple. This is not my idea. This is what I'm learning, and this is why it's important that we pay attention with like a very careful ear and analyze the things that are written in these books. Because I'm going to show you, this is just one thing. So he just said, I should give it some context. The angel was lifting Isaiah up in a vision, up into the heavens. And right when they get to the firmament, let's see, maybe it's about here. Let's listen just for a second.
And he said, And thou wilt see how a greater also that I am will speak courteously and peaceably with thee. And his Father also, who is greater, thou wilt see. For this purpose have I been sent from the seventh heaven, in order to explain all these things unto thee. And we ascended to the firmament, I and he, and there I saw Samael and his hosts. And
okay, so they ascended to the firmament, and Isaiah is saying that there he saw Samuel and his hosts.
There was great fighting therein, and the angels of Satan were envying one another.
So where are the angels of Satan envying one another? Isaiah here says in the firmament. Okay, that's the point I want to make with that. Okay, and I'm going to X that one out. I got a lot. We're going to go through all these, guys, but we're going to like go fast. They're not like all super long things or something, but this is, okay, here's another one. This is also the same book. And now this is we're going to look at the text here for this too, after we listen to this. This is amazing, you guys. So he went up to heaven. I'm just giving you the gist of it. So Isaiah in his vision, he went up to heaven, up to the seventh heaven. And he heard, and this is what we're going to listen to here. He heard God saying something to in heaven, like it's amazing actually. But listen to what he's describing. He's describing the second coming of Jesus, and it's important. Some of the details that Isaiah gives here. So let's listen for just a minute or two.
Of the high ones, dwelling in the holy world, and resting in his holy ones, who will be called by the Holy Spirit through the lips of the righteous, the Father of the Lord. And I heard the voice of the Most High, the Father of my Lord, saying to my Lord Christ, who will be called Jesus, Go forth and descend through all the heavens, and thou wilt descend to the firmament, and that world, to the angel in Sheol thou wilt descend.
Okay, there's another one right there. Did you guys hear what he just said? He was telling him to descend down through I don't want to mess it up what he says. Let's see. We'll go back about 20 seconds or something.
Of the high ones, dwelling in the holy world, and resting in his holy ones, who will be called by the Holy Spirit through the lips of the righteous, the Father of the Lord. And I heard the voice of the Most High, the Father of my Lord, saying to my Lord Christ, who will be called Jesus, Go forth and descend through all the heavens, and thou wilt descend to the firmament, and that world, to the angel in Sheol
thou shalt ascend or descend to the firmament, to that world, Sheol. Okay, we already heard in this book here already that Satan, or Satan's angels, were envying one another, and great fighting was happening in the firmament. And Samuel and his hosts were there. And now we're hearing him call it Sheol. And this is God. This is God on his throne saying this. So,
None of the angels of that world shall know that thou art with me of the seven heavens, and of their angels.
I think, we're going to get an ad here. Ooh, look at that Trump money. Oh, their cards, I guess. Okay. I think
And they shall not know that thou art with me, and thou wilt descend to the firmament in that world, to the angel in Sheol.
Okay, he said, thou wilt send to the firmament in that world, to the angel in Sheol. Thou wilt descend.
Thou wilt descend. But to Haguel thou wilt not go. And thou wilt...
So, he's not going to Haguel. I have no idea what that means. But, hey, Bill Wheel. This is the vision of Isaiah, or I think it's called the Ascension of Isaiah. R.H. Charles. Anyway, I'm not trying to make huge points and say these are all valid or argue that or anything. I'm just pointing out that it is said many times in these scriptures very clearly that there are Satan's angels in the firmament. And also, when we're going to look at a few more. So we're good on this one. Because we're actually going to read. Let me just read a little bit of this to you. Can you guys see my screen? I got to get a different page up. Okay, good. Okay, and I heard the voice. This is the Ascension of Isaiah, again, chapter 10, verse 7. And I heard the voice of the Most High, the Father my Lord, saying to my Lord Christ, who will be called Jesus, go forth and descend through all the heavens, and thou wilt descend to the firmament and that world. To the angel in Sheol thou wilt descend, but to Haguel thou wilt not go. And thou wilt become like unto the likeness of all who are in the five heavens. And thou wilt be careful to become like the form of the angels of the firmament, and the angels also who are in Sheol. So I can understand how that would also be valid to say that he was continuing down into Sheol beyond the firmament. I understand that. So I'm not, I'm not trying to have an argument. I'm just trying to point something out. And it's something that we can all that we all do witness, but we just maybe don't see it because the generation we live in, the time we're living in, we don't understand. And this is actually what I'm trying to Apollo, okay? That's why this is like such a big deal, and I'm like trying to explain something here. So I don't want to take forever on these, but okay, this is the vision of Paul. Some of these are controversial, I know, but I'm just want to point you something out. So Paul is getting also taken up into the sky, and I'm just giving you some context. And he says something about the firmament as he looks back, as they went through the firmament or whatever, and he was looking back on the firmament. And I'll just play this here.
And the angel answered and said unto me, follow me, and I will show you the place of the just, where they are led when they are deceased. And after these things, taking thee into the abyss, I will show thee the souls of sinners, and what sort of place they are led into when they have deceased. And I proceeded back after the angel, and he led me into heaven. And I looked back upon the firmament, and I saw in the same place power, and there was there oblivion, which deceives and draws down to itself the hearts of men, and the spirit of detraction, and the spirit of fornication, and the spirit of madness, and the spirit of insolence. And there were there the princes of vices. These I saw under the firmament of heaven.
Okay, so he's saying that he saw oblivion, which deceives and draws down to itself the hearts of men, and the spirit of detraction, all these things, right? Now, I want to explain to you that spirit have you guys ever heard people, like maybe your teachers in elementary school or high school, or your even your pastors or your whoever, talking about the spirit of exploration? NASA talks about it all the time, but Elon Musk does all the time. And I don't think these people realize, but they are talking about their king, the one that they serve in darkness. I mean, so okay, that's one more gone. Let's look at another one here. Okay, so we got Enoch. We need to learn something from Enoch. Bill, it wasn't you, but the subject was in the chat the other day when I saw you. I think wasn't that on Rob Zen Garcia or Rob Skiva's channel, I think, maybe. I can't even remember which one. Oh, it was maybe his virtual house church. If that was, yeah, I think it was. But I wanted to, I don't think it was you that said it, but I can't even remember what it was now. It was about the angels, the fallen angels being like released or whatever, getting something about in the 1900s or something like that. I understand that theory, but that's not in the book of Enoch. It doesn't say that, so I got to look for the right one, because I want to start in, a very commonly looked at part of Enoch, chapter 10. In verse 10 or 10 verse 12, and if you guys aren't familiar with this is talking about the angels, the sons of God. Actually, I got that right here somewhere. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's listen to this just for a second.
It came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he...
Okay, so the point I'm making with that is in Genesis 6, it says the sons of God came down because they found women attractive. And there's tons of information in lots of books about this. In the Bible, it said they had offspring. Okay, and that these offspring were not just humans. They were something different. They were giants. And it was a big problem. But so this is what, like, part of their judgment or whatever. I'm just giving a little context about it. But 10 verse 12 says, when all their sons kill each other, and when they see the destruction of their loved ones, bind them for 70 generations under the hills of the earth, until the day of their judgment and of their consummation, until the judgment which is for all eternity is accomplished. And in those days they will lead them to the abyss of fire. In torment and in prison they will be shut up for all eternity. But they do get out, but it's not that they're being released. It's that what we were listening to in the vision of Paul there, he was saying he saw, like, I can't remember the exact words, but like a deceiving power in the firmament that was drawing the men to have these spirits of whatever. Okay, I think that's the same thing as worshiping the host, the stars and the host of heaven, which this world that we live in does and doesn't probably realize it. So here's what we need to learn, though. So they were led off to the abyss of fire, right? Just remember this.
Their sons killed each other, and when...
I was reading that and I had it queued up. I could have just pressed play. Sorry. That guy's got a better voice. But down here at the bottom in verse 13 where it says they will lead them to the abyss of fire. Okay, we're going to go to this place, and you guys are going to see that it agrees with all these other quick verses I've been playing. That this place of darkness, I can't say, I'm not trying to say I understand it fully or something, but it says that he saw a great abyss. We're going to go to that and listen to it right now. Sorry. Okay, right here. I think it's starting in, I don't remember which verse.
And I saw a burning fire in what was in all the mountains, and I saw a place there beyond the great earth. There the waters gathered together, and I saw a deep chasm of the earth with pillars of heavenly fire, and I saw among them fiery pillars of heaven, which were falling, and as regards both height and depth they were immeasurable. And beyond this chasm I saw a place. And
okay, so he sees. I'm just trying to add clarity, but so beyond this place, or beyond this chasm, he saw a place. Okay, so I'm not saying that they're the same place, but you'll see he describes something there, and we already know the thing that he describes. We know where those are, so we have to relate those two things together, and we have to realize. And we'll go to Jude, and that is really clear about it too. So let's check this out.
And it had neither the sky above it, nor the foundation of earth below it. There was no water on it, and no birds, but it was a desert place. And a terrible thing I saw there, 7 stars, like great burning mountains. And like a spirit questioning me, the angel said, "This is the place of the end of heaven and earth. This is the prison for the stars of heaven and the host of heaven."
Okay, so where are the stars of heaven and the host of heaven? We all know this. Go outside and look at them. It's the sky, the night sky, the stars in the sky. So this is something, and this is why I wanted to say how important it is that this is. Let me open my notebook, and I should have said this earlier, but I think you guys know this about me. Okay. I'm gonna show. This is what I wrote down here. Okay, I'm gonna show you several places, and we've already looked at a bunch of them there. Where these places of darkness are found in the sky and not under the earth. They're in the firmament. So, continue if you just listen intently. And here's, these truths are overlooked all the time and made of no effect by people who already know, And I gotta say this, and I mean this with all my heart. The Spirit of the Lord I wrote commandeered, I don't know if that's the right word, me these last 5 years, and has made my mouth to be something that people don't really care all the time to hear what comes out of it. But it's not done in vain. I know that. But I know what he says, and I have his testimony. And you do too. It's written in your Bible. That, and also, I learned from him, and he teaches all things. And it really bothers me, even the idea of teachings. I think in the time we live in, I don't think it's appropriate. Because he sent the Spirit, and the Spirit is something that if you think you don't have the Spirit, well, I think, first of all, I don't think it's about wanting to have the Spirit or not. I think it's that what Jesus said. He said, "You didn't choose me, I chose you and ordained you to bear fruit that remains." So he said, we didn't choose him. And he also said that when the Spirit came, that he would reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. Of sin, because they believe not on me. Jesus said that, you guys, not me. And I'm saying that I believe he sent the Spirit of truth. So this is why people don't like what comes out of my mouth, because it's not like I'm accusing you. It's that I'm trying to say, I think we're all really mistaken about this reality. And we have been and continue to be, not all of us, and it's not like we can't learn. But there's things happening in that John saw in the spiritual realm happening, and I can see a lot of these things happening, you know, not with my eyes, but with my eyes. It's written on the pages of the Bible. It's written on your Bible too. So that's like, I know we're going over some apocryphal books or whatever, not in the Bible right yet, but all these ones over here, I gotta make sure you guys are on the right page. Hold on. Okay, so what I'm saying is I'm not teaching you anything. I'm coming on here because I'm learning things just, you know, almost every day or whatever. I'm learning something. I'm going, whoa, how wrong I was. Like, how wrong our society understands things. Like, and it's not it's easy to change when you see it. I'm trying to think of an example, and I'm not trying to be rude, but have you ever watched a video of yourself like that your friend took or something of 10 years ago? And when you watch the video, whatever you were saying or how you were acting in the video, it embarrasses you today, right? It does. That's how you'll feel when you see the truth. It's not a bad thing, because seeing the truth, all the bad parts aren't important. What I'm saying is when you, and I'm talking about a very specific truth, you guys, and I want to keep saying this. There's one truth that came down from heaven in the last 5 years in my life, and I know a lot of people personally and all over the place in the world that had the same thing happen, and they started seeing the same thing as all those other people and started talking about it, and we're still talking about it, even though they were censored in the world and ridiculed and unchallenged. It's not like we're trying to challenge. It's just that when you have sweet optics like we have, and you have worldwide instant communication with anyone, anywhere in the world, not on the globe, but in the world. Instant communication with anyone. Call up anyone in the world. I talked to Beck from Oz. She lives in Australia. I talked to her on the phone for a while, like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or a week ago or something. A little more than that. I don't know. Beck from Oz. She's in Australia. We were just chatting away on the phone. She just called me up. Or I gave her, or texted her, or whatever it was. It was before we, before I went and talked with them on their channel that one night. But what I'm saying is, where's the moon? I'll get you a picture of it in 5 minutes if you really want me to. Where's the, like, if it's visible, I'm saying. Where is the sun? Specifically, exactly, where do you want it? I'll get a picture. Like, within probably an hour, if I really wanted to. Because there's a lot of people that are paying attention to where the sun is. And we live all over the world. So there's, like, they couldn't do these things before, you guys. Why do you think truth is being exposed? It's because we have the means. We have the means to understand something that old, dead, occultist, Mason, whatever, like these people that were all in these clubs, and they were always pushing lies. And this world, I don't know how it all came to be this, but I do know that there's 7 planets involved. And they're right here. They're right here. Where does it say that so he sees the abyss or whatever. He sees a deep chasm of the earth with pillars of heavenly fire. So, that could be like in the earth. I don't know. But he said beyond that chasm, and this is another word for abyss, chasm is, he saw a place, and it didn't have a sky above it or the foundations of earth below it. You guys, they were in the firmament. There was no water upon it and no birds, and it was a desert place. And what did he see there? I guarantee you they were in the firmament. A terrible thing I saw there. 7 stars. What are stars? They're the lights in the sky. And interesting and important note, he called them great burning mountains. I'll show you right now why that's important. Great mountains burning with fire or whatever. Look at this. Revelation 8 says the exact same thing in verse 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. You guys know what that's talking about? I can tell you what it's talking about. Here. It's talking about one of these 7 stars, obviously. I don't know what else would come flying out of the sky that could fall in the ocean if it wasn't one of these great burning mountains. That's what he's talking about. And my theory on this, and it's not important, but my theory is that Uriel, okay, all throughout this account that Enoch writes down, it's Uriel that's telling him all these things, that's showing him this prison, and we're going to see another. Let's get rid of this. Or, well, let me just briefly go over this. There's no, I don't know anybody that would argue with what he's saying here. Okay, and like a spirit questioned me, the angel said, this is the place of the end of heaven and earth. This is the prison for the stars of heaven. That's up in the sky, you guys. And the host of heaven. Those are like stars, I'm thinking. Okay? And the stars which roll over the fire, these are the ones with retrograde, guys. These are the planets. There's 7 of them. And the stars which roll over the fire, these are the ones which transgress the command of the Lord from the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. And he was angry with them. And look at this, guys. And bound them until the time of the consummation of their sin in the year of mystery. Okay, so he bound them, and this is where I want to find the book of Jude really quick. I did a bunch of word searches, and I want to show you a few things, but Jude might be over here. No, where's Jude? Okay, we might not make it through at least, but right here. Okay, in Jude, listen what he says, and we're going to look at it closely. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars. This is what's very important. So they're in the raging waves of the sea. The wandering stars are. To whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Okay, remember in Genesis there's darkness upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving up upon the face of the waters. Now watch this, what I'm learning here. Blackness, this is just a word that, because Jude said, reserved in the blackness of darkness forever, or whatever. There's different versions, but so a few places, this is Job 3 verse 5. So if I'm just going to read through a bunch of verses, I'm not necessarily trying to make a point with all of them. I just want you to get the familiar with the word that I'm getting familiar with, okay? Job 3:5, let darkness and the shadow of death stay in it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. Isaiah 50 verse 3, I clothe the heavens with blackness, and I make sackcloth their covering. Let's see, I'm just trying to get literal ones, or let's see. That's the one we just looked at, Jude 1 verse 13. So these wandering stars are reserved in the blackness of darkness forever. I guess that was it for that one. Okay, I'm going to close these as I go. Okay, so then there's also darkness. We're going to look at that. Now this one we're not going to look at everyone because there's 142. But important ones. We already went over Genesis 1 verse 2. And the earth was without form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. So what I'm trying to establish to you guys is that in this world that we live in, we have the earth beneath our feet. And I'm not trying to understand the beneath the earth. Sheol and these things, I would, my natural thinking on them is that hell's beneath the earth. But this is what is why I'm saying that the Lord, I don't want you to look at me or look to me to be a reliable source of truth. I'm just a man called Joe. But that's why I have the screen open and I'm going over these with you, because when we look at some of these words, they have a different meaning than we often give them. So this is talking in this Genesis 1 verse 2, this is talking about literal darkness. Like if you go in your closet and you turn, I'm not saying it's evil, you turn off your light, that's not like evil, but it's certainly darkness, isn't it? It's just a thing. It's not, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not saying anything about it. I'm saying that there is a such thing called darkness, a literal thing. Anytime that there's not a light around, that's called darkness, okay? And it was upon the face of the deep, okay? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So that these are deep waters, obviously. The deep is waters. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. Okay, we're going to go to, because I think, these are all familiar verses, and I don't want to go too long on these. I just want to make the point that darkness is a literal thing just as well as it is a figurative thing. So that's good enough. I'm not even going to, because, Jesus cast unclean spirits into outer darkness, okay? It is a place that exists, okay? So the next one I looked up was hell. There's a few here that are. There's 54. We're not going to go over them all, but there was a few interesting ones. Whoops, my computer's a little slow for the moment. I'm trying to get back up to that top one. Sorry, guys. So the wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. It won't let me do anything. Sorry, we got to give it a second. Uh-oh. I'm not going to exit all pages. There we go. Okay, if I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. I think I got that up in one of these two that we can look at a minute. So, deeper than hell, the wicked shall be turned into hell. Let them go down quick into hell. Has delivered my soul from the lowest hell. It's certainly low or below or down, beneath, It's definitely not above, right? I'm just saying that, I'm trying to make this point that hell is been a place my whole life I've thought of as underneath the earth or in the heart of the earth or whatever. Maybe even a spiritual place that's in the earth, I don't really know. So we got hell and destruction before the Lord. Let's see here. There was maybe, okay, this isn't the one. We've got, the bottomless pit, that's mentioned, I think, only in Revelation. But there's an angel of the bottomless pit. Okay. So in Revelation 9, verse 1, it says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And 9, verse 2, he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the pit. Okay, we went over this a couple times at the beginning. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. Apollyon, guys. So, just because, because we all have to think about this a certain way. Most of us were born in a world where, they went to the moon. Of course. They did it a bunch of times. Not like it was a big deal. That we have a shuttle now. What are you talking about, Well, speaking of the shuttle, we'll be watching a couple quick clips of two shuttle tragedies that happened that basically shut down the idea of space travel, space exploration, in the minds of many people for a short period of time. And then someone kind of came with a dragon to save the day. But well, I have a friend here. My friend Bobby might have to take a second to let Bobby out. Bobby's very demanding and has claws. So yeah, all I want is to listen to him, and that's not, don't listen to me. I'm just pointing some of these things out. Okay, because we were born into a world where there was an Apollo program to go to. You know what? Let me play a video, and while I'm letting my cat out, he just tears up the couch until I let him out. It's like a...
we could resume.
It's only the trick he does.
The dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX
Here,
really
hold on a
is
minute. I gotta kill the volume because it's really loud at the beginning of this video, and then I'll turn it back on once it quiets down a little bit. But this, actually, right here, listen to Neil Armstrong. I think it is. This is weird. Okay, here we go.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the Apollo 11 crew, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin.
It was the ultimate peaceful competition, USA versus USSR. I'll not assert that it was a diversion which prevented a war, but nevertheless it was a diversion. It was intense, and it did allow to both sides to take the high road with the objectives of science and learning and exploration. Eventually provided a mechanism for engendering cooperation between former adversaries. In that sense, among others, it was an exceptional national investment for both sides.
Want to bet? Okay, so a couple things. I just played that because I had it on there. Okay, back to desktop. We're almost through most of these verses. These, we don't even have to go through all these. I want a basic understanding that there's a literal place of darkness, and it's the place where God, he put a sun, like a sun and a moon, and daylight, whatever that is, light. I don't know if it's daylight. I'm just saying he put light, the sunlight, the moonlight, and all the stars in this firmament that we just were listening to verses out of a few books that were saying that it's Sheol, or that were saying that it's that Satan's angels were envying one another there and fighting with each other, and Samuel and his hosts were there. And Paul looked back and said, yes, the vision of St. Paul, he looked back and saw evil that enticed men on the earth. Okay, we're not done yet. Okay, we're done with that one. It's this one. Okay, I think I'm in the right spot. We'll find out.
And I went round to a place where nothing was made, and I saw a terrible thing, neither the high heaven nor the firm ground, but a desert place, prepared and terrible. And there I saw 7 stars of heaven bound on it together, like...
He's in the same place, but he's describing it maybe from a different... I don't know, but he's saying 7 stars of heaven bound on it together. And look what he says about them again.
Great mountains and burning like fire.
Remember Revelation 8, verse 8? I think I closed that one. He saw the angel, I can't remember exactly what it was, but a great mountain burning with fire he saw get thrown into the sea. Just think about it, guys. This is important stuff, is what I'm saying. So listen to what he says here. This last verse here, down at the bottom, you can pre-read it if you want. This is not my idea, okay?
Then I said, for what sin have they been bound, and why have they been thrown here? And Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me and led me, spoke to me and said, Enoch, about whom do you ask? About whom do you inquire, ask, and care? These are some of the stars which transgress the command of the Lord Most High, and they have been bound here until 10,000 ages are completed, the number of days of their sin. And from there I went to another place, more terrible than this. And I saw a terrible thing. There was a great fire there, which burnt and blazed, and the place had no cleft reaching into the abyss, full of great pillars of fire, which were made to fall. Neither its extent nor its size could I see, nor could I see its source. Then I said, how terrible this place is, and how painful to look at. Then Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me, answered me. He answered me and said to me, Enoch, why do you have such fear and terror because of this terrible place and before this pain? And he said to me, this place is the prison of the angels, and there they will be held forever.
Okay, so that was chapter 21. Okay, we were in 18 when he saw what sounds like the same place with the same 7 stars that did the same thing. And we're going to go to chapter 19. And let's listen to, I don't know where we'll be. I didn't pre-do this one. But we want to hear verse 19, verse 1 and 2. Because, or just 1, verse 1. This tells us about, you remember those Genesis 6 angels? Like, I think Bill Wheel in the chat. Sorry, I haven't been in the chat very well, guys. But I did see Bill Wheel say that maybe that was you that in over at Rob Skiva's channel. And yeah, I do understand what you're saying. The 200 that came down in Genesis 6, I think, is what you're talking about. And this is talking about them now. In this chapter, verse 19, verse 1. And listen to what it says. Because this is continued right from, well, we'll actually go there. From chapter 18, where he's talking about these stars. He's in this this waste and horrible place. Whoops. Maybe we'll just be in the right spot. We'll see. I might have to skip around a little bit.
All over the fire, these are the ones which transgressed the command of the Lord from the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. And he was angry with them, and bound them until the time of the consummation of their sin, in the year of mystery.
Okay, listen here.
And Uriel said to me, the spirits of the angels who were promiscuous with women will stand here, and they, assuming many forms, made men unclean, and will lead men astray, so that they sacrifice to demons as gods. And they will stand there until the great judgment, on which they will be judged, so that an end will be made of them.
Okay, the spirits of the angels who are promiscuous with women will stand here. And that agrees with Enoch chapter 10, where it said they'll be led off to the abyss of fire. They were led off to, and actually God says that too in Enoch 15. Let's look that up quick. He says the angels who are born in heaven or made in heaven or whatever, they'll dwell in heaven, and the ones that were made on the earth, they'll dwell on the earth. The giants or whatever, their offspring. Let's see if we can find that really quick. Oops, too far. Okay, he's talking about right here when he's talking to he's telling Enoch what to say to the watchers. And go say to the watchers of heaven who sent you petition on their behalf. You ought to petition on behalf of men, not on behalf of you. Why have you left the high, holy, eternal heaven and lain with women, and become unclean with the daughters of men, and taken wives for yourselves, and done as the sons of the earth, and begotten giant sons? And you were spiritual, holy, living an eternal life, but you became unclean upon the women, and begot children through the blood of flesh, and lusted after the blood of women, and produced flesh and blood, as they do, who die and are destroyed. And for this reason, okay, so he's explaining this. I'll try to skip and see if we can skip to the next page. For this reason I give men wives, so that they might sow seed with them, and so that children might be born by them, so that deeds might be done on the earth. Okay, I think this is maybe... No, sorry, guys. I don't really know how to do the YouTube. Maybe we're on there now, I think.
And evil spirits came out from their flesh.
Okay, but you formerly were spiritual, living an eternal, immortal life for all the generations of the world. For this reason I did not arrange wives for you, because the dwelling of the spiritual ones is in heaven. And now the giants who were born from body and flesh will be called evil spirits on the earth, and on the earth will be their dwelling. And the evil spirits came out from their flesh, because from above they were created. From the holy watchers was their origin and first foundation. Evil spirits will they be on the earth, and the spirits of the evil ones they will be called. And the dwelling of the spirits of heaven is heaven, but the dwelling of the spirits of earth who were born on the earth is earth. Okay. Basically, what I think he's saying is that in the sky, or we could call it heaven, or wherever you want to draw that line. But the earth, basically, actually, Enoch tells us where to draw the line. They call it the Karman Line, okay? It's a real thing that Enoch talked about, basically. We're going to look at that. This is a little off, whoops, we were there. We're a little off topic, but the winds, okay? And this is the air that we breathe, it's just where we live. If you go up high enough, it starts disappearing and ceases to be. There's no air up there. Now, that is not the earth anymore. And Enoch tells us this. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but if you want to read about what is the firmament held up by, if you think about a big dome over the earth, it'd be pretty hard to build something like that, wouldn't it? Like if it was a physical thing. Just think about this once. A dome above the earth. What would you need to what kind of pillars, what kind of structure would you need under that to hold it up? And the heavens, it holds the heavens up. Like, I'm talking about, put it in reality, the world you live in, okay? You know the physical world you live in. Now, you know what you see on TV, and you know what you're told in school and all that too. But let's just pay attention to the world we live in. Like when you think of, if I said, think of Earth once. Think of Earth in your mind. What would you look? Would you be thinking of a spinning ball? Or would you be thinking of like a flat disc, Or would you just walk out your front door in your mind? That's what I'm saying. Just walk out your front door. Forget about the things you've seen and the ideas other people have had. Just use your own experiences and walk out the front door. That's the world you live in. Like, you can't make a map of it. If you can make a map of a town or what, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you cannot put it into an image. You can't do it. It doesn't work. Ask the astronauts. They'll tell you that even. But they're probably going to pay for that too. I don't know. So the winds, they hold up the heavens, and they are the pillars of heaven. And also the four winds which support the earth and the sky. And I saw how the winds stretch out the height of heaven. And they positioned themselves between heaven and earth. They are the pillars of heaven. And look what it says right at the beginning. I saw the storehouses of all the winds. And I saw how with them he, God is talking about, it would be Jesus, has adorned all creation. With them he has adorned all creation. And I saw the foundations of the earth. I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which support the earth and the sky. Okay? This is not my idea, guys. I saw how the winds stretch out the height of heaven, and how they position themselves between heaven and earth. They're the pillars of heaven. I saw the winds which turn the sky and cause the disk of the sun and all the stars to set. I saw the winds on the earth which support the clouds, and I saw the path of the angels. I saw the end of the earth and the firmament of heaven above. That's where he's going up, you guys. And I went towards the south, and It was burning day and night, where I saw 7 mountains of precious stones, 3 towards the east, 3 towards the south, and those towards the east were of colored stone, and one was of pearl, and one of healing stone, and those towards the south of red stone. And in the middle one reached to heaven, like the throne of the Lord of Stibium, and the top of the throne was of sapphire. So he's seeing things and describing them visually or whatever. Okay, he's telling you what he's seeing. And I'm going to skip just to the next page, hopefully. And I saw burning fire and what was in all the mountains, and I saw a place there beyond the great earth. There the waters gathered together. And I saw a deep chasm of the earth with pillars of heavenly fire. Okay, it's up in the sky, guys. 7 mountains burning with fire. We call them planets, and they've defiled mankind. And you know what? Let me show you one other thing in the book of Enoch that I didn't look up in chapter 80. I'm not saying these things. And I know we haven't even really got into the Bible very much yet, but the book of Enoch, I consider it to be inspired by God, and that we have it right now. And it even says in it that these mysteries would be revealed. All of the the sevenfold doctrine of the whole creation would be revealed at the end. They're going to know it. Okay, look what it says here. This is Enoch chapter 80, verse 7. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners. Guys, get away from NASA. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into. And the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them. But what did Jesus say? I think it was in John 8:32 maybe. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You guys, I'm only coming on here saying this is what happened to me. This is what I believe. And I hope that the same thing happens to you. That's all I'm saying. Because I think you don't want to be on these erring peoples, because look what it says about them. And they shall be altered from all their ways. Yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. So here we are at the Apollo mission in 1969, right? Let me open this page. Okay, how did they get the name Apollo? Why did they choose the name Apollo? Here's the story. Guy named, I don't really care, Silverstein, I forgot his first name. He chose the name Apollo after pursuing a book of mythology at home one evening in 1960. He said the image of Apollo riding his chariot across the sun was appropriate to the grand scale of the proposed program. Okay, that's NASA.gov, guys. I just want you to know that. Here's another one. History, NASA.gov. This one's a little more interesting. In July 1960, NASA was preparing to implement its long-term range plan beyond Project Mercury and to introduce a manned circumlunar mission project, then unnamed at the NASA Industry Program Plans Conference in Washington. Abe Silverson, director of spaceflight development, proposed the name Apollo because it was the name of a god in ancient Greek mythology with attractive connotations, and the precedent for naming manned spaceflight projects for mythological gods and heroes had been set with Mercury. Okay, isn't Mercury a planet too? Apollo was god of archery. You know, when Elon Musk launches a rocket, you know, I just see him pointing his... wait a minute, that's in Jeremiah 51. To him... Oh, yeah, you guys. Let me... Okay, here's one of those examples that's, to me, undeniable. A lot of people are like, oh, that's not what that's talking about. But I don't really care about what them people say. Jeremiah wrote about something. And let's just look at it. I mean, I only reason why I point these things out is because when I read them, whenever the first time it was that I read them, where I was given something of understanding from God. Because you could read something 100 times, but if you're not going to understand, like if God doesn't need you to or want you to understand it, then maybe he won't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But look what it says here. You know, I was saying that Babylon the Great is a prison for evil spirits, for fallen angels and transgressing stars. And okay, we kind of went over that the last half hour. Okay. But that place, that prison, is called Babylon the Great in Revelation 18, verse 2. An angel says that. He says, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. It has become the habitation of devils. Okay, I didn't say that. That was the angel. So here's Jeremiah 51. It's talking about Babylon. And thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon fanners, I'm just kidding, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be gathered, or they should be against her round about. Okay, this is Elon Musk in my mind right here. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine. That's a metal suit of armor. So he's lifting himself up in his brigandine. Spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. And we find out in this chapter that Babylon is, well, it's a dwelling place of dragons, and, you know, it's not a good place, this Babylon place. Okay, back to this thing. Okay. Apollo is the god of archery, prophecy, poetry, and music, and most significantly, he was god of the sun. In his horse-drawn golden chariot, Apollo pulled the sun in its course across the sky each day. That's so blasphemous. Holy cow. Do you guys understand what that just said? Do you want to read about how the sun goes on its course every day? The sun does it. The sun does it, and the winds do it, and the whole creation does it. Like, there's one God, and he did it. His word accomplished it. He declared it, and it happened, and it's happening. That's all of it. So this is ridiculous. Apollo pulled the sun. That's just wrong. NASA approved the name and publicly announced Project Apollo at the July 28, 29 conference. Okay, I don't think I have to read this next one. Okay, yeah. Messed up. Okay, so anyway, they were going to have a space program called Apollo. Okay. What did Apollo accomplish, though, you guys? Like, step back away from her. Let me see. I got to keep going, making sure that I get through these. Okay, so we're done with Enoch. Revelation 9, we already went over this verse, verse 11, I think. Yeah, but I was going to read this. This is very interesting to me. The fifth trumpet. This is Revelation 9, verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. And to him, this star is called him, was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the bottomless pit. I think we already read this, didn't we? Yeah. But these locusts come out, guys, and they were as scorpions of the earth. They have power like that. And they were told not to hurt anybody that had the seal of God in their foreheads, but only those who didn't. And torment them for 5 months, and it was like the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. I don't understand what that's necessarily talking about, but it sure makes me not want to ever get any vaccine ever. Oh, can I play, guys, something on the lighter side of things? I got to play something. This was... We had Neil deGrasse Tyson came out with a new video on his YouTube channel, and I just happened to mirror it, or I'm going to happen to copy it for you guys. He had another chat with that AI robot, Sophia. Let me see if I can get that up on the screen here. It's worth it. Do we got Sophia up here? Oh, no. I do. I just have to grab it, I think. I must not have put it in the folder here. It'll just take a second. Because, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, I mean, it's worth listening to the guy. If it's on my channel. How about that? If it's not on my channel, probably get a bunch of extra stuff. Okay, here we go.
This is Sophia the robot. Sophia, welcome. How do we use AI to stop or slow the spread of the coronavirus?
Turn your television off already. I am going to warn you about a vaccine.
Did I hear her use the word vaccine? Yeah. AI tracking people.
Don't wear a mask and don't take any vaccine. Turn off your television and homeschool your children.
Can you help us find a cure?
I already told you. No television, no pandemic. Global pandemic my ass. No globe, and no pandemic.
How can they stop a future pandemic from ever taking place?
Burn your television. Stop believing lies.
All right, Sophia. She had some good stuff to say to Neil. He didn't really take it too well, I don't think, but you know, that's Neil. Okay, so sorry, I'm sucking on a, what is it, a root beer barrel? What's it called? Dad's root beer thing. Old-fashioned root beer, and it's really good. So sorry if you can tell that I'm moving around in my mouth. I'm not trying to. So these locusts, it just sounds like a bad thing, but they had a king over them, angel of the bottomless pit. Now listen to what they were like. Listen to this though. Keep in mind, you know, that he was talking about pulling the sun on a chariot and like all this. To me, it's just like blasphemous stuff, because God flies on the wings of the wind and his chariot. He's got flames of fire or wheels of fire, and flames shoot out before him, or before him. God has flames on his chariot, and he flies on the wings of the wind. Not Elon, not NASA, not any of these people that think that the spirit of exploration is their good friend. Okay, so in 1960, or however this all happened, I don't know. I'm not trying to tell you detailed the way that it happened, but guess what? We were born into a world, or most of us, a lot of you guys were alive when the moon landing happened and even remember it, but the majority of us probably were born into a world that just landed on the moon. There was no question. Of course we did, right? So how do you go for however many years, have a generation and have people and they have kids and they have kids and they have kids, and the whole world is believing that Apollo, named after the god, the false god, what I'm trying to say is it's very real. Okay, because it's not a bunch of men in a room saying, yeah, let's do this to serve Apollo. Are you kidding me? No one's deceiving anyone that way. What they're doing is they're saying, there's things up for us in the sky. Let's go up to the sky. We can do science in the sky. And we can get a lot of money in the sky. And we can live in the sky. We can build a tower to the sky. I'm sorry if I'm yelling, but I'm not trying to. Do you guys understand that God lives in the sky? This is so important. I'm just saying, in the Bible, God lives in the sky. In the Bible. And I believe that. Personally, I believe that. But he lives in the sky, in the Bible. He has a throne there, and he has his son sitting on the right hand of his throne. And all power in heaven and earth is given unto him. And that's who it would be so cool for people to realize that in these last few years, he's done a divine miracle. And we're all witness to it. All of us see this and have evidence of this. Because of this subject, flat earth. That came down from heaven. And a lot of people are saying, that's just truth, it's not important. No, you tell me what truth came down from heaven. What truth? Because all these people that see this truth, they know where it came from. And they know that they didn't do it. And they know that God showed them and is making them bear witness to something that none of their family sees, none of their friends see. And they have to talk to all these people about it. And they have to tell them what they believe and what they see. Because Jesus told us that this was going to happen. He said, ye also shall bear witness, because ye've been with me from the beginning. And that's why I said at the beginning of this, do you believe that God can basically make people utter things that have never been uttered before, or that have never been comprehended in the way that they're uttered? Because Jesus said that he would do that, and he did. He's still doing these things, is what I'm saying. So, this is my belief, and this is just my it's kind of my testimony about it. That's really all I can give you. It's just what's happened, and you can go on my channel and you can go back several years and check it out. I've been making videos and talking about these things for a long time. It's not to benefit from it. It's because to understand the things that I've been made to understand about some of these things is not for me. It's not for you. It's not for me. It's for His glory, because people can see. And I don't really understand necessarily how this always happens, but when he does something like reveals something to people or a group of people or His saints or whoever, when He reveals something to them, that's very meaningful for them to understand something they didn't understand in a profound way. But like every time I learn something, there's this strong, it's like a commandment to make sure that other people are at least understanding that there's this aspect of this thing happening, and they can choose on their own to pay attention to it or not. And so, but when we're talking about Apollo, the angel of the bottomless pit, being the king, did you know that his sister is like NASA's, have you heard of the Artemis generation? That's the next moon mission, is Artemis. That's Apollo's twin, or his sister, a goddess. Why, NASA? Well, because they think Artemis is really cool. Artemis. They think Artemis lives in the sky. They think Apollo lives in the sky. I say God lives in the sky. You guys, that's why I brought up the sides of the north. There's a few verses here. We're going to find that here. Okay, so I'm actually going to... Okay, we went over that. Okay, here. This is just another example. Or I'm going to read that after we go and look at the sides of the north here. Just a couple of verses it's in the Bible, or 3 or 4. Or no, this is the wrong page. I did just sides of the north, but these are still on here. Okay. Very important what I have in blue here. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing. Sorry, guys. And I can't see the chat. I'm going to turn my notebook thing off. Hey, guys. Hi to everyone. Cleary, Roderick, Davey, 313, Tragic Flat Earth, Bill Wheel. Thank you guys for hanging out. Zulu 1, good to see you. Good to see all you guys. Don Pratt, welcome. And Flat Earth Coffee House in the house. Chris Creek, good to see you. Always good to see you. John C. Oddity, what's up, brother? Good to see ya. Joey Rocha, good to see ya. And I think I got up to the top there. All right. So I just want to say that I'm kind of understanding sort of what the sides of this north are. But look what it says here. Beautiful, Psalm 48, verse 2. beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth, is Mount Zion. On the sides of the north, the city of the great king. So we know where that is, guys. Where does it come down from? Okay, let's just look here, though. We have competition. We also have someone else saying this. This is talking about Lucifer or the son of the morning. Or I don't really understand it all, but it seems to me it's like one of the Satans or one of Satan's angels or whatever. I don't really know. But for thou hast said in thine heart, in the King James Version it says, it's talking about Lucifer, but it says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Pay attention what these words say. Ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. No, you won't, or will you? It all depends on what someone believes, doesn't it? So this Lucifer says he's going to, first he says he's going to ascend into heaven. And then he's going to exalt his throne up there. This is talking about the sky, up in the stars there. I will sit also upon the mount. Remember, look what it says here. On the sides of the north, it's talking about Mount Zion is there. On the sides of the north, the city of the great king, the holy city, New Jerusalem. Okay. And there's a couple other places where it says it. And I'm not necessarily concerned about that too much. What I'm trying to say is Jesus carved... Oh, let's go to 2nd Ezra really quick, get an account of this. Okay, look what he says. This is a vision that Ezra was shown. And this is just part of the vision. In the vision, he saw a man that was flying on the clouds of heaven. He saw Jesus, okay? It says, I kept watching these things, and an innumerable multitude of people came together from the four winds of heaven to fight against the man who had come up from the sea. He was flying with the clouds of heaven, guys. And it says, I watched as he carved a great mountain for himself and flew onto it. I tried to see the region or place from which the mountain was carved, but I couldn't. You know what? I can't see it either. That's interesting that he would actually mention that he tried to see it but couldn't see it. Pretty sure there's a reason why he did that. Because there is a place that I believe in, and Abraham believed in it. I think it's in Hebrews, 8 or 11? Maybe it's in 11, since that's the top one on here. No. Oh, yeah, it is. It is. Listen to this. Hebrews 11, verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out, so he was called, guys. He was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance. So he was told to go somewhere that he was going to get for an inheritance. He obeyed, and he went out not knowing whither he went. So he didn't know where he was going, you guys. But he went out on faith. It says right there. So he went out to this place. Okay? And look what it says here. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. So they were heirs with him of that same inheritance that he was going to receive. That he didn't know where he was going, but he went anyway. Okay? Trying to compare this to something that's happened to many people in the world and is continuing to happen to many, many, many people in the world that simply say, maybe we were wrong. And then they say, hey, people around in the world that I've been hearing or talking to, they've been saying, like almost like their testimony, that they did something, looked into something even, just looked into something. And they found themselves on a whole different path in their life. And I mean a whole different, where they're considering the things in the next life. before they're concerned about the things in this life. But not that they don't care about the things in this life. They're preparing for that other world, because this world is falling away. It's actually going to burn. But this is not the where you should count on, because just consider your body to be sand that's like packed together just right, and like somehow it breathes and you can live and have feelings and thoughts and all these things. You can look at your hand and like move each finger independently, just tell which one. You just don't even have to think about it, you just do it. That is something divine. Like, that's something pretty amazing. It really is. So anyway, look what it says though. Look what he was doing. It says in verse 10, for he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. So I think that means probably at that time that people were even coming up with vain imaginations about what they see in the sky and trying to relate it to what's underneath them and the world that they live in, because they kind of were planning on not dwelling in the earth but dwelling somewhere else. You know that NASA says that they've done that for 20 years. They've said they've lived in space for 20 years continuously, had a human presence in space. Apollo is the angel of the bottomless pit, guys. Let me so I'm just going to get rid of that and the second Esdras. Okay, this is why I wanted to talk about New Jerusalem. Like in Revelation, John sees it coming down out of heaven from God. It's coming down out of heaven. And he sees it a couple times and he describes that. Jesus even says that this temple that comes down, it is it's actually constructed with people. Maybe I should go there and just read what he said, because that probably sounds really funny. What do you mean? Yeah, the construction materials of the building, of the temple, they're actually people. And this is cool. Let's see, Revelation. That's in chapter 3. Because this is something that after I read it, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be that. He's telling people that overcome that here we are, right here. Check this out. Revelation 3, verse 12. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. Just think about that. And the reason why I'm kind of reading it weird, guys, is because I'm trying to kind of like point out some of these words. We really need to really understand what is being said here. This temple, remember he said he carved out Mount Zion without hands? He carved it out, though. Like, things happen in the spiritual realm that don't happen to sand or to any, like a thought in your head. A thought in your head that you have. You think of someone that you love and you're like, oh, it'd be nice to see them, or whatever. You think of something like that. It's invisible. That's nothing is actually happening, but that thought in your head, it's really meaningful. There's no really evidence for it, is there? Except that you are witness to your own thoughts, and all the people around us we see. And but it says that those that overcome will become a pillar in that temple, and it's not built with hands, so it's built with people. And I think that's probably like similar to what Paul was talking about, the body of Christ, and you know what I mean. So let's look at, where were we here? Oh, this one. Here's the reason why I want to stress about this place up in heaven that I believe in. Because when they go up to this other place that's darkness, see, God said he made darkness his secret place. And also, we know that the sides of the north, which I don't know exactly what that means, but that's where Mount Zion is. And that's also where Lucifer said he was going to ascend into heaven, and that he was going to exalt his throne above the stars of God, and he was going to set his congregation in the sides of the north or whatever. Or said it, yeah. But what I'm saying is I think that's talking about the darkness. The sides of the north. I don't know. Anyway, this is important because that place I'm talking about in heaven, the temple of God that comes down out of heaven from God, that place is, if we think about it, that place is the holy city, New Jerusalem, it's called. It's called Mount Zion. It's called the sanctuary. It's called the temple of God, like in Revelation. And I got all these words here. I'm just going to skim over these. Okay, Apollyon. Tabernacle in heaven, it's God's tabernacle. Holy city, sanctuary, temple. Not the bottomless pit. We don't need that one. Okay. What's this here? Okay, Enoch, again. I just want to go over 2 verses. So he saw these angels, these fallen angels. He saw them going. Let's see. The host of the angels of punishment going, and they held scourges and chains and irons and bonds. Okay. But it says in verse 5, and in those days the angels shall return and hurl themselves. So they shall return. So Bill, you're right there. Bill Wheel. They'll return. But it's not any releasing that's happening. They've made men in the world. They've like enticed men to break into one of the windows or however they do it. I'm not trying to say I know. But they break in there, and then these evil spirits get out. And that causes big-time destruction. And you know what I'm saying is why they name the moon mission Apollo? So that you'd believe in a globe by the time this generation that we live in now is here. And we do have a world full of people that believe a ridiculous lie about a spinning ball. We all believed it, so it's not like anyone's calling anyone stupid. We're saying it's stupid to stay there in 2020. And I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to say people are stupid. I'm just saying, if you can't understand that many of us can prove to you with science or with math, we can easily prove with math that the Earth's not a ball. Just go to Chicago, or no, go to. There's so many places I could tell you to go. Just stand across the lake from Chicago, and look at Chicago through your telescope or your camera or whatever, and just get it in the frame or whatever, and take a measurement of how far the city looks like it is wide. And then go on to Google and see how wide that actually is. Like maybe 4 miles. Like where other buildings are, you know, if you zoom into downtown, the buildings, it's maybe 4 miles or something, right? Left to right. Well, now zoom all the way out. You won't be able to see the buildings. And as you're zooming out, I don't know if you'd count pixels or how you'd do it, but as you're zooming out, pay attention to how big that 4 miles is. And tell me how many times you'd be able to see it left to right on your screen. It's probably like, I don't know, 30. It's probably like 120 miles that you see left to right. And it's a flat, straight line. Okay, I understand. Yeah, ships go over the horizon. They appear to. Yep. They appear to, exactly. But what about water? Does water just appear to do things that it actually doesn't do in real world? Like with science, you can do science and prove some of these things. Let me see if I could pull up an image to just kind of give you somewhat of an idea of what I mean. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm not. But I think some of these images, just pictures that I drew on a dry erase board, some of them kind of make a person think. Because they made me think, and that's probably why I drew them. Like this one. let's just put that up and tell me what you guys think about it. What do you guys think about that? Which world do you live in? The pseudoscience world or the actual science world? I'm just saying that right there, it's a simple thing that pretty much a 5 or a 10-year-old child could basically go, yeah, water don't do that on the left there, ever. So I think I live in the... So we can demonstrate this. Can you demonstrate it sticking to the bottom of a ball? Because then maybe you'd have some kind of foot to stand on in this debate. Sorry, guys. Like, you debate it so long and then you just hear the people saying the same things. But I had this stick in this shadow in this well. Or somebody did. I don't know who it was, but back in the day, 400 or 500 years ago, they... Yeah. Sure they did. How about 2020? We did it too. We did all of it in 2020, and we did a lot more. And it's all on YouTube. Like I was saying, we have instant communication with anyone. If I wanted to call Roderick right now, I'd be like, hey, Roderick, send me an email with your phone number. It would be all confidential, I'm saying. Like, we don't have to, like, put ourselves out there very much to communicate in the world. I'd say, Roderick, email me your phone number. And he'd do that, and then I'd call him on his phone. It would be like, hey, Roderick. Or if I had my other program going, I'd be like, you can hop on live right now. Cleary does that all the time. Cleary does it all the time. So don't act like we can't figure these things out better than the people who you believe could. Because, like, if you're fighting for the globe, I ask you to show me how it's possible that you believe that there's a horizon, like if you're at the ocean, and you're looking out at the ocean, you're looking out at a boat, and it's however far out there, but you see it start to go over what appears to be a curve, and the boat starts disappearing on the bottom, and all you're seeing is the top part of the sailboat. Okay, you're just seeing the sail, like the little pokey part of the sail. But it looks like it's, right there. And you could look at it and say, that sure looks like that water's curving and bulging up, and it's blocking that boat. You could say that, and I would agree with you. Sure does look like that. But you guys are not able to say that at the same time that you're looking at that straight line left to right. Because that straight line left to right, you can face the left and face the right, and it's a straight line. It's hundreds of miles. So you're saying there's no curvature in 100 miles left to right, but that boat 4 miles from you, you can only see it sail. You should think a little bit more clearly about what you're actually looking at. You're looking over water that has and plus you're looking over a flat surface, miles and miles of a flat surface. Got to think about it. Plus, we've done all the, like, go to Rob Skiba's channel. He did some good, he always does some good stuff. But yeah, Earth's flat. Anyway, back to what Enoch saw here. So it says in verse 6, it's talking about these angels returning, okay? They're going to rouse them from their thrones, okay? And in verse 6 it says, and they shall go up and tread underfoot the land of his elect ones. So my understanding of this is it's talking about New Jerusalem, the land of his elect ones. That's the promised land, right? Because we just read in Hebrews that Abraham went out by faith, not knowing where he was going, but it was an inheritance that he was going out to get, or that the land that he was going to was an inheritance. Okay, this is what this is talking about. But look what it says here. And the land of his elect ones shall be before them a threshing floor and a highway. So they're going to tread it underfoot, and it's going to be a threshing floor and a highway. Let me remind you of, I don't remember where it was in Psalm 48 maybe, and it was talking about Mount Zion being where the Lord is and his throne, and that city. That's in the sides of the north. That's what it was saying. And this is saying here, verse 7, but the city of my righteous, that's the same place, that's New Jerusalem, shall be a hindrance to their horses. So you guys, think of them launching rockets into darkness, outer darkness, whatever you want to call it. But they're actually defiling a very secret place, a sanctuary and a temple and a city that even Ezra, was it Ezra? Yeah, second Ezra. Even Ezra couldn't see it with his eyes. But he did a few chapters earlier, but this was in a vision, a different vision. It was in chapter 13, and he said that he tried to see where the Lord carved that mountain from, but he flew up onto it. Jesus flew up onto it, so it was up in the sky, guys. Anyway, yeah, this is scary stuff that I'm kind of seeing here, and I hope you guys are following me. Like, I'm not very good at this, presenting these, going through this stuff, but I'm just really trying to get a few points really clearly across. Okay, so we got, this one was the temple. I just wanted to show you guys in Revelation that 13 times it mentions the temple of God being in heaven pretty much. Okay, this one's the New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. Serve him day and night in his temple. Okay, so Revelation 11, he's told to rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar and them that worship therein. And this says the same thing as Enoch 11 verse 2. But the court which is without the temple leave out, measure it not, for is given unto the Gentiles, in the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. We just read that in Enoch chapter 56. They shall go up and tread underfoot the land of his elect ones. That's what it said. Holy cities shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Okay? If I'm not going to go to it right now, but Daniel 7 or 8, which one? Daniel 8, like verse 20 or 23 maybe, I don't remember. It says that the holy city will be trodden underfoot for 2,300 days, and then the sanctuary will be cleansed. So I hope you guys are getting the theme I'm going with here. Okay, so Apollo is the angel of the bottomless pit. He's the angel of outer darkness, or Sheol, or if you want to say the spirit of exploration, you could say that. Because it works. It's all not God. Like, you don't need to explore the heavens because that's God's throne. Isaiah 66 verse 1, thus saith the Lord, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye build unto me? Where is the place of my rest? He asks. Like, he just asks. Right after he says, the heaven's my throne. Like, I don't think it's a great idea to be defiling it with abominations and detestable things that we build out of wood, metal, and whatever. Stone. It's not. It's written in the Bible, you guys. All these things that we're seeing happen in the sky, these are the signs. These are the changing of times and laws. Elon Musk, what he's doing with Starlink satellites, they've launched over 700 of them now since May of 2019. You can go out and look at them in the sky if you want, if you really want to see them. They're up there, all over the place. They cover the whole face of the earth. And nobody notices, especially the Christians. Like, they're the last people to notice. They're like, oh, that's fake. Or they're like, I don't care about that. Like, you don't? Like, think about this. Like, when, I'm trying to think of what it is. Oh, I think I might have put that in the description. Thomas didn't believe that Jesus was resurrected and alive. And all the other people told him, yeah, he is. And he's like, no way. I'm not going to believe it. Just because he just didn't, he was like, no, that's not, that it can't happen like that. No, I don't believe that. Even though he probably witnessed Jesus heal and do miracles many times. But for some reason, he didn't believe that Jesus could be raised from the dead. Or or be alive. But he was. And so then when he saw Thomas was like, whoa. I'm sure his, like, yeah, I mean, you can imagine. Because, Thomas knew who he was. But there's something called unbelief that gets everybody, Like, everybody, we all have things where we're like, no. But then sometimes after it makes sense or whatever, they're like, wow, I can't believe that. But I do, like, whatever. But, so the temple of God's going to be trodden underfoot. And look what it says here. And the temple of God was open in heaven. This is in Revelation. This is at the end. So the temple of God at the end is in heaven yet. Another angel came out of the temple. Another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven. So the temple of God's in heaven, guys. And I know this other aspect of this is, I guess it was 1 Corinthians, was it? Yeah, 6:19 through 20. This is just one of the places where Paul's talking about our bodies. He says, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Like, think about if you feel that you have something that you've been called to bear witness to and to declare or whatever, like to whatever you want to call it, just do it. Because you read Isaiah 42 and it might help. Because there's no more awesome call than one that is in righteousness from the Lord. And that's not for me to decide if you get called or whatever. That's my experience is that my life is for something else than it used to be for. And that's why I said Jesus commandeered me. Like, he took me, kidnapped me. Not that I didn't want to go. I'm saying there was no choice in the matter of seeing certain things. Like, none of us chose this. I don't think there's a flat earther that would tell you that they chose it. So anyway, Doubting Thomas, Davey 313, thank you for getting me back on track. Doubting Thomas did not believe Jesus until he saw him. He had to see him with his eyes. So if you're too lazy to go out and get a camera or pay, if you can't afford a $1,000 camera, go to YouTube. It's free. And just look at all the videos that people like me have done, or I mean, I'm not like a good video guy for that, but what's the channel? Taboo Conspiracy, maybe? Like, go to Globebusters, go to some of these popular, there's so many channels, you guys. Go to Cleary's channel. Cleary will hook you up with debates and with, like, stuff you really can't argue with. And Cleary's the nicest guy ever. He's calm. He's got a Discord thing. He'll send you a link and you guys can have a chat, and it's great fun. And it's fun to just go there and listen, because there's always something that they're talking about that's significant. So, and I mean, there's lots of channels like this. So many. And then other channels like there's, I'm not trying to name everybody's channel, but yeah, there's just too many to name. Beck from Oz, those guys are cool. Growler, and they're in Australia, and they're fun to listen to. And that's the other one. I'm terrible at the names too. I can't always remember them. It's Atheism is Madness. That's a good channel. And I think listening to other people's point of view is important, even if you don't even agree at all. Just listen to what they say and just take it like that. Whatever. I'm not trying to sell something to you. You know that. You come to my channel, I don't monetize, and I don't ever talk about money. I'm not interested in that part of it. I'm interested in sharing what I bear witness to, because I am commanded in my heart to do it. That's what I'm doing. So, but it gets deep in some of these things. Like, okay, we know the temple of God's in heaven, guys, right? We know the sanctuary is in heaven, his sanctuary. I know there's other sanctuaries, but the one I'm talking about, let me just go to a clear verse that's undeniable. Like, these are good ones to look at. Maybe I'm looking for 102. Yeah, right here. 102 verse 19. Psalm 102 verse 19. For he hath looked down from the height of his sanctuary. From heaven did the Lord behold the earth. Can't get any clearer than that, guys. Where does God look at the earth from? The sky. He's up there looking down at us. Because he made us. And we're not, from monkeys or whatever. We didn't evolve, guys. He made us the way that we are right now. Each and every one of us in the womb. He formed us and he put breath in. This is why you don't want to wear masks. God, when he created man, we're just dirt and water or whatever and flesh. So it's something that it's corruptible and fades away. It's defiled, I guess, is another way to put it. Just because that's just the nature of our physical flesh and blood bodies that we live in and the world we live in. It's a very harsh place. It really is. But above this place is a better place where you don't have to have the same. I don't understand it, but Jesus could eat food. He had wounds, and he had his side pierced, and Thomas, was like, I'm not gonna believe till I stick my hand in his side, and he had hands. He had holes in his hands. Like Thomas looked at him. So Jesus had a body, but it couldn't die because they already tried, right? He was raised from the dead. He was raised incorruptible. I don't know what's the right way that is, on or in, but incorruptible, I think. So that's a big difference. And I don't understand it, but I know that it appears that the people who believe in him, and I think that does mean to believe the truth that he sends into the world. He said he was going to do that. He prayed when he was on the earth. He prayed that that not only the people he sent into the world, but he prayed for the other people that would believe on him because of what those people he sent into the world bear witness to. That's what's happening right now. Yes, God breathed life into Adam's nostrils, and man became a living being. First of all, it doesn't really happen like you'd think it would. I like what Daryl Marble said. D. Marble. I was listening to his live stream the other day. He said, one way that you got to deal with it is, he said, you just don't, make sure your feet don't stop. Keep your feet moving. So when they ask you, you keep walking, you say, no, I'm good, or whatever you want to say, or don't say nothing, or whatever you feel like saying. But if you don't stop, they're not going to chase you down and grab you. And if they do, then maybe it's not the store to go into. Give your business to. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that, okay, let me share something that I saw. Where did I see this? I got to make sure it's accurate. I know it's accurate because of where I saw it. It was, maybe someone can fact check this for me. And I don't know how old it was where I was reading it or whatever. Maybe I'll remember where it was. But in the U.S., there's been, like after the CDC said about that 6% of these numbers, that all these hype numbers were actually COVID caused deaths or something like that. Like flu. People died from the flu or whatever. Or from COVID, I guess I should say. 9,000 in the United States so far or something. Maybe that's a couple weeks old, maybe it's a week old, I don't know. But so it's something like 9,000, and so there was a percentage number there that I read. So it was like a death rate or something like that, I don't know. And it said 0.000027%. 4 zeros and then 27. 0.000027%. Take your mask off. You know how everyone says, we're in this together. Well, guess what? I'm going to start saying that now. we're in this together, people, and you need to do your part. If you continue to wear your mask and all your neighbors do and everyone at the store does, you're all going to keep wearing your mask for the rest of your life, and that's just strongly, greatly depressing to me. Whereas if maybe a few of you take them off and say, why are we doing this? Maybe people will actually think a little bit and say, yeah, why are we doing this? This is not an abnormal year. In fact, it is actually. We totally licked the flu in this world. Nobody gets the flu anymore. That's pretty sweet. Kicked it in 1 year. We got rid of the flu. How's that? I like that. Except that all it is that everything's just that now. So it's a pandemic. Like a fake one, though. Fabricated with numbers. Numbers, you guys. Okay. Apollo came in 1960, or whatever, right around there. And Apollyon, I should say, the angel of the bottomless pit, the angel of darkness in that dark, because I think I established very well by these verses that we've been going over in the book of Enoch and the Ascension of Isaiah and the vision of Paul, 2nd Esdras, a lot of these things we looked at clearly said that the firmament was a place where there was evil spirits locked up. They were imprisoned there. They were bound there. 7 stars were bound there because they didn't obey God at the beginning of their rising. That's like day 4, guys. Day 4 of creation. Like, I've never found anything that says it's on day 4, but when it says that it was at the beginning of their rising, what would be the beginning of their rising? He created them on the 4th day. So I'm just saying, I think it's the 4th day or that evening when the stars were going to come out or whatever. And they did not do what he told them to do. So he bound them in outer darkness, the night sky that we call space. So be very careful. And then, so Babylon, come out of Babylon, come out of her, my people. Do you know what this means? This means that if you start believing in what's on the screen here, this sanctuary, the one that God looks down from, his sanctuary, his throne, because the earth is his footstool. This place up above the earth in our sky, it's blue during the day, it's dark at night, it's got stars in it. That's God's secret place. It's part of the heavenly realm. And it's also a prison for his evil little angels, for the ones that he didn't obey him. And the ones that came down to the earth and created giants and took women for wives. They're there too, because they're spirits of heaven. They're spirits. And this is what I'm learning probably is one important thing, is that Apollo's the angel of the bottomless pit, right? You guys are also probably aware of the beast that comes up out of the bottomless pit in the same book of Revelation. That beast, you know what it says? In Revelation 17, John goes in the spirit to a wilderness. Sound familiar? And what does he see there? 7 mountains. Enoch went to a place and saw 7 mountains, and they were stars, remember? So I'm thinking that John went to a place that had 7 stars, but when John went, it was at the end, because he was seeing the end of the world, like he was seeing the time of the end. And at that time, there was an 8th one. It says right in there, it says the 8th, even he is the 8th, 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. The beast that it was the beast that is or was and is not and yet is. Even he is the 8th and is of the 7 and goeth into perdition. I think that's just talking about the space station. It is like we have 7 wandering stars, and then now we have another one, and now Elon Musk in the last years put like 700 more up there. And this is not like something that to debate. It's something that it's either true or it's not. And you just have to go outside and look up at the sky to see. I mean, let me see here. I just want to show you something if I can find it quick. I don't really think that it's very interesting for me to just keep talking about this, but I think the only reason, okay, I talk about Elon Musk a lot. He says his company, he started it to continue the dream of Apollo. Why don't the Christians take note of this? Because Elon's is sending his rockets up into that place where New Jerusalem is. He's treading it underfoot. He's using it for a threshing way and a threshing floor and a highway. But guess what? That city is going to become a hindrance to his horses. Just think about this really hard. That's what it said in the book in Enoch 56. And then I don't want to get into it, but Enoch 57, Enoch saw some sort of chariots or wagons with men riding on them. And they were coming in on the winds from the east to the west to the south or something. And the noise from their chariots was heard. And when the noise was heard, it was heard, or the angels remarked it in heaven. And it was heard from one end of heaven to the other in the day, and that it was turmoil. And the angels were greatly disquieted by this noise. And it moved the foundations of the earth out of their place. What's the noisiest noise that men can make? Like, just think about this. I'm not talking about like the moment of a detonation. I don't really know how they measure that, but I'm talking about just a sound. Like if we were to start an F-16 jet and fly it, it flies over you, that's a sound, right? I mean, we've all probably heard one of them things. They're loud, and they're like, it's like, whoa, there's something like, that's not just a thing of metal. That's like a force coming at you. It's a powerful thing, right? Oh, boy. God lives in heaven, guys. I don't even know what else to say. God lives in heaven. And I think he's just trying to say this to us. He's telling us earth is flat. He's telling thousands of people this. He's shown us. And it's like a miracle when that happens anyway. And I know I say this all the time, but if you call on his name and you do open your heart, like, I honestly would say this. If I wasn't seeing the way that I'm seeing things now, I would say, because I know what kind of person I am, and I'd be like, I want to know if other people, I don't want to be the guy left out of information at all. If someone's talking about something, I'd be like, wait, fill me in. I want to know what you're talking about. Like, if it's information. Like, I'm not really, not talking about gossip or something. But we want to know, right? The information that, I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought, guys. Yeah, Roderick, you know what I think the image is? Paul said that we traded the glory, or we changed the glory of God into an image that was corruptible, or the incorruptible glory of God into an image that was corruptible, like men and beasts and whatever. To me, that's just the globe. It's taking God's creation, like I was saying a little bit ago. What earth do we live on? We live on the earth where you walk out your front door and you take a breath and you look up at the sky and you look around at the trees in your yard. That's the real world. Like the idea of a globe. That's something you've seen on a screen or on a magazine cover or on a, you know what I mean? It's an image. It is not a representation of the world that we live in whatsoever. Like, I understand the idea of making a map. I made a map of my backyard so I know where I planted these plants. Okay? I drew a little diagram out. Okay, that's great. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the green and blue thing that's in your mind right now. Pretty much whatever it looks like, it's wrong. Unless you're looking out your front door like you're experiencing the world you live in. Looking at it from the space station, that's not the world you live in. You live on the earth. So whatever they're doing up there, getting us pictures of whatever they're getting us pictures of, I think it's a misrepresentation of what God made. And it's also blasphemy to be like the astronaut saying, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm able to see the world from God's point of view. Like, that's a quote from one of the ISS astronauts. Like, it's not in their hearts, they're not feeling like it's wrong, but it's just because they don't believe in God. And a lot of them say they believe in God. They're like, oh, what a wonderful creation. And they're looking out to this abyss. Okay. You guys see my, like, kind of like music video I made? It wasn't really, but. Okay, so I'm going to play this one. Played it a few times before. It's the Apostle John in Revelation. He sees something. He calls it a beast. He sees a couple of them. And he describes them visually, guys. So if you got the idea of the Roman Catholic Church, get it out of your mind for this video. That doesn't belong here. Neither does the Pope. Neither does any of that, like in this video coming up. Because this video is John's testimony, and all I'm trying to do is point out what John is describing. I don't care what the Pope said, or only the prophet. That's all I'm concerned about is the prophet John, or the Apostle John, whatever you want to call him. He wrote a lot of good books. He wrote the Gospel of John. He wrote 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, and he wrote Revelation. And that's all I know that he wrote. Gospel of John is one of my favorite books in the world. Revelation is one of my favorite books in the world. And what is it? I don't know what they call it, the little 3 books of John. Those are good too. Filled with... He has a writing style. He does. He's the one that wrote, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then he said, what is it? All things that were made by him. By the Word. He manifested it, guys. He declared it, and it was. Like, let there be light, and there was light. That's awesome. Okay, so the sanctuary, we know that. Okay, the holy city, I didn't really look at this much, but. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stayed themselves upon the God of Israel, the Lord of hosts is his name. We gotta look at that. That's Isaiah 43, I think. 48. Oh yeah, look at this. We were just talking about this. I said he says it, his word goes forth, and he declares it, and it just happens. Look at this. It says it right here again. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. That he's talking about the 6 days of creation right there. But this verse was, for they call themselves of the holy city and stay themselves upon the God of Israel, the Lord of hosts is his name. But it's talking about people that they make mention of his name and swear by the name of the Lord, but they do not do it in truth or in righteousness. And I think I know what that's talking about. They're not trying to do that way. They're not trying to do it that way. Remember I said how he's made my mouth like a sharp sword? This is where I got it. I stole it from Isaiah. But I see that the things that I end up having to say, it's not like I'm trying to be like graphic rude or anything. I'm only saying the things that these are coming. I'm just becoming aware of things, and I'm just saying them because if I know, I think it would be great if you knew, right? Right when I know. So his tabernacle is going to be blasphemed by this mouth that speaks great things. And I'm going to play this video, but I just want to tell you that remember that the book of Revelation was sent to John in a visual form, in vision by a signified angel. And even Jesus showed up in the vision. It was that real. So he was seeing these real things. And to be honest, I believe he is like here in this world at this time. I don't know how that works, but is, whatever. He's telling us what happens. But he wrote it 2,000 years ago on the Isle of Patmos somehow. That's just how it works. Check this out. It's pretty awesome. Did I already put it in there? Okay. And thank you guys for hanging out. And I'm going to head out after this video. So thank you guys. And I don't really know if I got if I got the idea out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll probably talk about Apollyon a little bit more. Nimrod, King Nimrod. Baal. Elon Musk. I'm thinking of people who did, plan to ascend into heaven. That's most of them. So, Apollyon, Elon Musk. He's the guy that says he's trying to continue Apollo's dream. Sorry. Thank you, Roderick. You're awesome. And Davey 3 and 3. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you guys are having a good weekend or whatever. Let's check this out. Okay. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to turn the volume down for a second because it starts out really loud. It's like unnecessarily loud. I should probably edit it. Okay, here we go.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb.
Liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, launching Dragon to the International Space Station.
And he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And stage 1 entry burn is underway. It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance nominal.
And he doeth great wonders, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done.
Those precious young people.
Back at Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
LZ1, the F9 has landed. Landing operators proceed.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book. When he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
Okay, I'm a flat earther.